Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. This is John Suntress, and look who's joining us today. One of my friends.
Hi, John.
It's Kelly Sue DeConnick. Good to see you, buddy.
Nice to see you.
Yeah. Lots to talk about, and obviously want to get a checkup on our man from Atlantis and woman from Atlantis and see how they're doing.
Yeah.
Couple, the power couple. But there's obviously the last couple of weeks have been rough for comic book fans and rough for women in comics. And in a lot of ways, it's good that these stories are coming out because something needs to be done. But obviously, too, it comes with a lot of frustration and disappointment in people that we respected. And, I know you've already made some comments on Instagram about the situation. And like I was telling you before we started and everything, I really respect the fact that you felt the need to address what's going on. And a couple weeks later, any insight, any thoughts?
Yeah. It's so difficult to talk about because you can't. I can only. I have always tried to use. I think most of the folks who've listened to us on Word Balloon before, I've talked about my sobriety before. So, like the language of sobriety of AA and NA is a big part of my life and my kind of philosophy. And so one of the things from that is I try to keep things in the eye. I try to take care of my side of the street, right? And talk about my experiences as honestly as I can. The problem with that is you can also, in doing so, it can make it seem as though you are centering your experience, right? So, so I can talk about what I'm feeling going through all of this, but that's difficult to do without it sounding as though I'm putting my struggles on par with people who have been targeted in one way or another. And that's not my intention at all. And so I've kind of said as little as I could say in order to try and walk that balance. If you don't say anything, that's read as villainous compliance, or
Sure. Yeah.
And I understand that. But I'm also a human being, and the emotional spectrum is complex, and and it's been a hell of a year.
Yeah.
And I'm turning 50 next month. And it's rethinking a lot of things. And I'm rethinking a lot of things in I have managed my career very much under the tutelage and with the guidance of my mentor, and and I got great advice, and it worked really well. you know, but I'm in a place now where I'm sort of thinking a lot about a lot of things, about the nature of power, about what it is to have a platform, about being middle-aged, and I have a limited. I mean, we all have a limited number of projects in us, right? And nobody knows when we're done. But
right.
But as you hit these milestones, it becomes clearer.
Absolutely, Kel.
And I mean, I'm not on death's door or anything, so don't
no.
But
the clock is running, buddy.
Yes.
Forgive me for interjecting, because when I was 49 6 years ago, same thoughts. And it's like, and Mark Schultz, who I love, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, everything great that he's ever done. And it was me, Mark, and Rick Remender at a convention. And Mark was saying, and he's older than me, and he's like, I want to do this, I want to do that. I want to do it before I can't. And Rick was very sympathetic, like, hey, Mark, you're not old. And again, I was in my late 40s, and I'm like, no, I get it. He's just saying he's aware the clock is running. Yeah. And so we want to make sure we get the stuff we want to get done. And so, no, believe me, buddy, 5 years down the line, I get it.
Yeah,
so forgive me for
real.
But
no, please this is a conversation. That's yes. But it's super real. And so there's I have a my mantra for this year, for lack of a better term, was do less and better.
Atta girl. Sure.
And the quarantine and the pandemic and everything sort of conspired against me for that. But that's where my head is at a lot. So I need to learn to say no to some things. Okay. Which I'm doing a lot of thinking right now about what that's about and why that's difficult. And I don't know. We're gonna have a therapy session, I think. That sounds like this is what we're doing.
Yeah, I know. And then seriously, buddy, I mean, I think we managed last time to have a fun comic book conversation. And really, so it's like, oh Christ, and again, no fault of our own, but it's like, all right, Kel and I are gonna have to talk about heavy shit for a while.
Yeah, but it would be disingenuous to be like,
absolutely,
bam, pow, like,
yeah. So. No, yeah. But again, I really appreciated your Instagram videos and what you were saying about, because again, I think instinctually, and I forget who you were quoting, and it's like, well, maybe some good can come of this and address these problems head on, much as what the demonstrators are doing with society right now and those issues. So out of the ashes of disappointment and frustration, again, people can stand up and say, wait a minute, there are solutions and there are things we can do to make it better. And I'm glad that you were already thinking along those lines. And I think, and I don't want to paraphrase what you were thinking, but yeah, if you don't mind, I mean, again,
so we have to do something. The problem is that, we tend to, this is a very big and very complicated problem. And like, comics has a lot of very big and very complicated problems. And we're sort of, always looking for the easy solution, like, and which is human. It isn't like that isn't unique to comics. But like, variant covers are not going to get us out of this,
neither
is a
event.
No. Can I curse? I don't know.
Of course you can. Absolutely you can.
Like neither is a fucking anthology or
Sure.
like I appreciate these things or a meme or whatever. Like I get the impulse, but it just makes us feel like we've done something and we haven't. And but it's also very easy to be like, well, that's not going to do anything. Like why even try? That's not going to do anything. Like I don't want to be that guy, right?
Yeah.
Like trying something is better than doing nothing, I suppose. But I suppose like I'm not, so like trying something dumb might actually be destructive. I don't know. Anyway, it's not dumb. Trying something ineffectual.
Sure.
I don't want to. I'm not calling anyone dumb. But we have some structural and institutional problems. You're not going to you can't fix people with power will abuse power. Like that is you can't fix that, right? So not everyone, but a lot, and also I don't think we should be the ones judging for ourselves whether we're abusing power or can be trusted with power. I don't think that's for us to decide. And that's been a big, like, okay, this is the most banal thing in the entire universe, but I talked about this a couple days ago too, that oh my God. So in Aquaman, I was just writing about how Mera has a realization that even though she's a good queen, that's a bad thing, and like absolute power in, it's not like a person in a who's artistically appreciated has absolute power. So I'm not drawing a direct parallel here. But power concentrated in one person is a dangerous thing. And I don't think we get to decide for ourselves whether we can be trusted with it, and I also know we're all adults, and how do we protect women without infantilizing or taking agency from women, and particularly young women. Frequently see young women making decisions of their own. And, I certainly did my share of, oh, I'm going to walk into this wall real hard.
Okay.
So I don't know. I have some ideas. The more time I spend with those ideas, the more overwhelmed I am. And, and there's also an element of it that's, like, do I want to really put all of my effort into this, or do I want to be an artist?
Yeah, sure.
And that whole TikTok thing. I on the one hand, it's like, it's so easy to be like, the kids will fix it, but the kids have their hands full.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So,
especially right now.
Yeah.
Where a lot of the kids had to suffer through pencils down.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, that's, yeah, no, it's really, and I know that the uh, shitstorm and all of its components have made what is already a challenging life as a freelancer that much harder. And I can appreciate that because I am a freelancer currently. So, again, I don't have the issues that women do. And in fact, one of the bad behaviors wronged me in a very different way. And I really felt the need to point out that distinction that I was not traumatized and not physically handled inappropriately in any way, but just a bad business thing. And yeah, it sucked, but it's like, okay. And again, a lot different than what other people are dealing with. But yeah, no, and I can appreciate
no, and I haven't been mistreated at all. Which is its own thing. So now I have done nothing but benefit from these interactions. But there's about 10 years ago, a bunch of us started or tried to form an organization, a businesswomen's organization in comics, and it didn't end up happening for a lot of reasons, some stupid and some like really understandable, and mostly the lives of the primary push organizers of it, pushers, the lives of the primary organizers, myself included, got very busy. And but we went so far as I think we got our paperwork in order to incorporate. As we got that far. But anyway, this notion has been back on my mind recently, and I think that organization could be of benefit. And I have some thoughts about how I think it would be best organized, and what I think it would be for. And one of the really important things to me is it's not, all of the olds inviting all of the youngs to come sit at our feet and learn our ways, because I think everybody has a lot to learn in all directions. I think there's in a marketplace, in an industry that is evolving as quickly as this one. I don't think that is the appropriate approach. So, and every time I hear people talking about mentorship being the answer, I'm like, mentorship was the problem. Right. So I don't know. Yes, there has to be mentorship, but there should also be like institutional ways to enter our industry that have you not at risk. People should be channeled into the industry through school programs, for one thing. We have schools that are starting to have real fantastic comics programs.
Agreed.
And now hilariously, most of those kids coming out of those programs are not interested in doing the dominant genre. And that's a whole.
They're not interested in doing superheroes, in other words.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's
and that's an interesting evolution. Although I think, if it's a good way to earn a living while you're working on your other stuff.
Sure. Absolutely.
So having that, skill set is it's good to have. But but like you can do portfolio reviews at conventions, but like for writers, it's a lot messier. There's like, people will try to send me scripts all the time to read. I'm like, I can't read your script. I'm sorry, I can't do that. Yes. And I don't know that DC or Marvel will read sample scripts. I don't think they will.
No, usually not.
So you have to be published elsewhere. So you got to start by self-publishing is really kind of the only, unless you know somebody, or unless you come in as a very successful person from another industry.
Absolutely.
And it's not appropriate for the size of our industry anymore. And it's not appropriate for 20, what the hell year is this? And I'm not, which is not to say that, all mentorship is bad. It's just that like, not everything needs to be hoisted as why is everything the responsibility of the creators to fix? Right. We got to staff your books too. Like,
yeah. Well, mentorship is an avenue for bad behavior, but also there are a lot of great examples of good mentorship.
No, but
that is the problem. Yeah.
I have had several really fantastic mentors. I've never been mistreated. But also that because what happens to me isn't the story for what happens to everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. It's big. I also keep thinking about the agents and unions. You gotta have a union to protect you from the agents. You have to have the agents to protect you from the publishers.
Yeah. Well, and even the nature of agents I've seen certainly in the television and film world has morphed into, unfortunately, not really protecting the clients, but really, packaging something that happened in agent history in the film and television world decades ago. People can watch a great documentary about Lou Wasserman, the guy that used to run Universal, and I believe it's called The Last Mogul. And it's a great, honest story that resonates today because of what's happened in television writing, and that
and this is why I am with for my TV work, I am with a mid-sized agency called Rebel, RBEL, and I adore them. And they don't try to sit on both sides of the table. Like an agency cannot also be a studio. How is that not incredibly clearly a conflict of interests?
They were packaging productions.
They were packaging productions for themselves, essentially.
For themselves to produce. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which again,
so sitting on both sides of the table. You can't do that.
And there are great articles that point that out currently. And again, this documentary of this bad behavior that forced Universal to make changes and say, no, you can't do both. You cannot.
The WGA, and we fired our agents. We even had to fire our good agents. We're back with them now because they're signatories to the thing. But in case anybody was keeping track. Yeah, I mean it's all very complicated. So all right. So then we need a guild. If we can't have agents without having a guild, and there have been a bunch of people who've been interested in talking to the WGA about forming a sort of sister organization for comic writers, or a leg of the WGA for comic writers.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of crossover there. There's a lot of us work in both television and comics.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's that's a lot. And then the publishers would obviously push back against that because it would cost them, right? And they're not in business to not make money. And I think a lot of them see comics as a loss leader anyway, right?
Yep.
So, yeah. So again, this brings us back to the whole thing is big and complex and a headache. And there's a lot that needs to be addressed, and you can't fix it in a weekend.
No.
And also there's a pandemic and a recession, and we're very sad. You know, and a revolution. There's also a revolution happening.
Absolutely. Yes, indeed. That's hence the shitstorm. Absolutely, buddy. Yeah.
So the revolution part is a good thing, but a painful thing, a difficult thing.
Absolutely.
So
you would think, despite the comics being a loss leader portion of their corporations, and I really felt that when earlier cases, and I'll name names, Eddie Berganza and the like, that suddenly it seemed like corporations were kind of stepping up and starting to police. You know, honestly, bud, we've had this conversation before, and I'm like, but it's getting better. And sadly, recent events are showing there's still a big fucking problem.
Yeah.
And it bums me out, because I really did kind of believe, like, all right, the corporations are taking their responsibility seriously. I saw it in broadcasting 25 years ago. Yeah, I'm that old. And really that finally the casting couch and also just bad social behavior was like, no, this is a goddamn business.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah, I have a simple request. Like, this will go over like a lead fucking balloon, but here we go. Like, if you're a professional, maybe don't fucking drink at a con.
Yep.
I
or no
promise you that would cut down BarCon.
Yep.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of the worst, and again, forgive me, but it is public now. Taki Soma's situation. I remember that weekend very distinctly. And a lot of people are, and forgive me for accuracy, are saying, oh, yeah, it happened at Mid-Ohio Con. No, it happened in Chicago, actually. And I remember that weekend quite distinctly. And it really put a shitty feeling in all of us that heard what happened. And, you're right. I mean, it literally, I mean, I never drank too, and I'm not putting myself in any pedestal whatsoever. But I'm like, I'm going to watch myself and make sure that I don't drink too much and lose control. Not for fear of attacking anybody, but just saying something stupid, finding myself in a stupid situation. And it's like, I'm here for professional reasons. I am not in comics. I cover comics. But even in that capacity,
that's your profession,
Well, yeah. And again, coming from covering sports, I wouldn't show up at a game. Hey, like Harry Carey. How you doing, everybody? Boy. And again, that's the problem. There were generations of that being accepted behavior. Oh, that's just the guys being guys. No big deal.
And like BarCon was a legit way to break into the industry. You met people there, right?
Networking. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And like, I get it. And, I'm also, almost 50, and I go to bed really early, and I'm sober for 20 years. So that's fucking easy for me to say. But I do think, like, hey, maybe don't get shit-faced after a show and do something fucking stupid, Yep.
Yeah.
And hurt somebody.
Yes.
Whether it's being a shithead or throwing a punch, which, we've also seen. Like, hey, dumbass, save it for the fucking books.
No shit. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no. And again, it's a shame because, as you say, networking does happen at BarCon.
It's important.
Yeah.
Like, I remember being at the point in my career where I was like, oh, I don't have to do that anymore.
Sure.
And it was like, oh, you know what I'm doing? I'm going to my room. I'm going to read a book, and I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to be at my table early in the morning, I'm gonna take a shower.
Which we all need after Icon Day.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, but it's a shame, Cal, because that's where we've at. I mean, really.
No, totally.
I mean, truly.
Totally. Yeah.
And it's like, no, nice friendships are forged at bar cons and stuff. And it's like, and networking. So
yeah. But like, you don't have to be shit-faced for that to happen.
What's
right?
that? Say it again.
But you don't have to be shit-faced for that to happen.
Right.
Which is not to say, I also understand you don't have to be shit-faced for abuse to happen either.
No.
I understand that. But it sure makes it a lot easier.
Yep. Yeah. And it's a convenient excuse.
Yes.
Gee, I'm sorry. I mean, that was Taki's. That was the excuse that Brownstein made. And man, just again, that shit about, hey, let's all take a step back. It really wasn't that bad.
Or yeah. People think that they're like I'm here. This is me returning to my superhero metaphors because I am that simpleton. But people think that they're like the Hulk. They think that like, well, I won't do anything drunk that I wouldn't do sober. Like bullshit. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Like it just loosens your inhibitions a bit. Like, no, it fuck you up. Yeah. You make some real bad calls.
Yep.
So, but I'm an alcoholic with 20 years sober. I don't mind people having a couple drinks, but like when I see somebody drunk, like it's not charming. And I don't. My reaction isn't. Aren't they fun? My and part of that could be my age too. But my reaction is like, I want to get out of this before something bad happens and it splashes on me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do. And then you're right. And again, what I recognized, and again, I forgive the self-example, but, it's that college mentality that maybe a couple, and nothing to the degree of what we have heard about, but I've been like, that was the last time I was like really not out of control, but just where something stupid happened. And again, nothing horrible that is some bomb that's waiting to drop on me, but just where I even just like got in a bad argument with a friend, and maybe it was more Hulk behavior, and I never punches thrown, and it's like, oh, something that's not cool. I'm in, something clicked where I'm like, all right, I'm an adult now. Maybe that's not a good idea. Like maybe a little more control is necessary. And so that's kind of, I think it's like for a lot of people, it is like a life lesson you learn in those college years, because no more rules. Mom and dad aren't around to fuck you up, and you can party. But then it's like, oh shit, all right, I shouldn't have done that. All right, let me learn from that. And again, I don't say this as to excuse the extreme horrible behavior, but I think a lot of these people, I don't know if they didn't, do college, and also, or the other thing too is they really weren't in a workplace where some of these safeguards were already in place of. And you get that orientation of, no, this isn't acceptable. We will fire you if you bullshit like this.
Yeah, and I mean, there's, it's not like systematic, targeting that's not a product of somebody having too much to drink, but that's a whole other thing, and goes more to the sort of the solutions that we were talking about earlier. But just the sort of the just bad behavior, fuck, I've been on panels with dudes drinking.
Sure.
On the panels, and it's like, oh, isn't that funny? Like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's fucking sad because it's 11 o'clock.
Really sad.
Like,
yeah. If you need a shot or a hit to face the crowd, especially a crowd that already loves you and is into what you do, man, fucking look in the mirror. Yeah, good Lord. No. And there's something wrong with you, man. It ain't them. It's you.
It's a cry for help.
Jesus. Amen, sister. And yeah, everyone on the chat is agreeing, and forgive me for not putting up comments, but I didn't want to distract us from what you're all saying, but they're saying in a lot of ways they're agreeing. And also there are nice things about your work that I will get to as well in the chat. But I mean, there's, like I said, unfortunately there's this thing. I wanted to address it as best we can, and I wasn't expecting answers, Cal, but I like what I'm hearing, and maybe again, not so much to I hope those whatever you guys 10 years ago came up with can be passed on.
Yeah, there are I think there are some younger folks who have started trying to form some similar organizations, and maybe this is the part where I get out of the way and let them do it. I don't know. I have thought about, I mean, I'm not in the way, but like maybe I don't potentially get in the way. I don't know. I have thought about trying to, it's not a good idea to do all your thinking out loud, but whatever. I apparently still walk into walls. But I have thought about trying to leverage the Visible Women Project and the visibility of visible women, oddly enough, into an org. And yeah, and like having it be like, as much as I've thought it through, it was sort of like it would be a pay what you can, so that those of us who've been in the industry for a while can kind of cover stuff for more folks that are newer. And we'd have a lot of resources available, and I would like to have leadership passed around so that so it isn't in danger of becoming like a cult of personality kind of thing, like join my club, right?
Yes.
And we can have, so it's like somebody takes the accounting interface for 3 months, and what their job is for those 3 months is to get some accounting firms to volunteer to come do some Zoom sessions where they will take questions from young women in the industry about accounting practices and like, how do you form a loan out, and when is it time to form a loan out, right? And we need like, okay, you're in charge of the accounting interface for 3 months. You got to set up a Zoom call with 3 different accounting people for once a month, or like, one a month for 3 months. And then somebody does craft lectures, right? So you're going to have like somebody coming in and talking about different aspects of craft. Somebody heads up having editors come talk to us, right? Somebody heads up building the resources for the website, including what to do if somebody says something inappropriate to you, right? Yes. Including what behavior is smart, or what is a red flag if you see it at a convention, right? What shows to go to, like, there's so much that we could do, but it would take a lot of women, and that would be the other thing too, which is like, I wouldn't want to police gender. Like, if you say that you're qualified, I'm not gonna, like. Okay, sure. Willing men that are willing to help. Yeah. So like if non-binary folks are like, I would like to be a part of this organization, I'm just going to say, not dudes. Like, I love you dudes. You have Congress. We will have this, but anyway, that is, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it needs to be open to everyone, but I do think that there is, because I know women can be predators too. Okay. But I don't know, maybe that is a conversation for a bunch of women to have. Right. Anyway, this is a thought I have had. It would take a decent amount of organizing, and it would have to be done carefully, and we can't have it has to be principles before personalities, right? And you know, and we're all real crazy busy. So there's one part of me that's like, I think this is a really good idea, and I think I could get the same women from 10 years ago and a few more in to make this happen. And I think what we could do is leverage visible women into it. But then I also think I can't keep up with my fucking deadline schedule and my kids and showering, you know, cleaning my office. So how am I going to make time to start another? I have 4 fucking companies already. I don't know how I'm going to start another one, you know?
Honestly, Kel, you and Matt are 2 of the most organized people in the world. That you have your 30-day plan, your 90-day plan, your 6-month and year, and 5-year and 10-year. I love that about both of you, and I am envious because I am the most disorganized person you know. I am Oscar Madison. You can't tell from this camera shot, but if you could look at my room right now, you'd run screaming. And yeah, I know, I get it. And as we get older, and this is again shameless middle-aged man with no children and no wife, and I can't, I still live like a 20-year-old in some way, sadly. But yeah, no, I understand it. This is big shit, and it does require a lot of people that are willing to put in and are capable of putting in. It's not willing, it's capable of putting in the time. This is why there's that, that's why 2/3 of the country doesn't vote. Because like, hey man, I'm just trying to put food on the table and worry about my kids. Yeah. And it's, and you grimace at the excuse, but as you get older, you understand that personal responsibility is it's tough to balance it all, you know?
Yeah. There's also and for that particular example, there's also the notion that all politicians are so corrupt it doesn't matter who's in office, right? Yeah, but I feel like maybe the current administration has dispelled that. Like maybe it turns out it does. It super does matter.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope.
Fuck. I know. Jesus Christ. So hey, and honestly, if any other creators that have ideas on how to make this better, I offer my platform to discuss this as we are doing. That was my intent of having Kel on and spending as much time as we currently have. And I mean, I have
gotten letters from several people since I discussed. I haven't written back to everybody because it's been mostly people like volunteering to help, which is great, but there's a decision to be made as to whether or not I genuinely think this would be a good thing, and also I don't want just my own take on that. And also I'd like to be able to build something I could then walk away from. Like I said, I would like leadership to revolve. I don't want I don't want the Kelly Sue show, I don't want that responsibility, and I don't want that power. So
no, and I understand. And again, this is a shared responsibility that hopefully others can do. And you're right. I mean, you're right. It shouldn't be because, whatever, either you retire or God forbid you pass away, and it shouldn't end with you, and it shouldn't be about you. It's about the problem and solving the problem. Yeah. So fuck. I mean, you and I agree. So if we were Lord Gods of comics, we could handle this today.
Fix it, bud.
Exactly. I know. And honestly, buddy, this is where I am like embarrassed by some of our previous conversations where it's like, but it is getting better, Cal, isn't it?
Yeah. I do believe, yes, it is getting better. It yes, shit like this is still happening.
Yeah.
And it fucking sucks. And it's, yeah, it sucks on a million levels, but it used to be shit like this was kept women entirely out of the industry, right? Like, and there are now, we've talked about this before. We've talked just in the time that I have, my career, which is like 10, 15 years long now at this point, like the number of women of high profile in our field has expanded exponentially.
Absolutely.
So that is better.
Sure.
Right. And every time I go talk to a class of young people who are interested in comics or studying comics, there are more women there. Often these days, more women than men, which is interesting. Conventions, at least on par, right?
Great. Yes.
So, I mean, it is hard in the face of like, fucking really,
Yeah.
and it I feel stupid too, but in the face of that, it's hard to be optimistic, but I am an optimist at my core. And I don't want to erase the progress that has been made, because it has been. And there are a number of people in this industry that I absolutely adore, friends that I have made that I'm incredibly grateful for. And they're not all predators.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, I mean, I did a Willow Wilson and I have been having like Zoom coffee,
Okay.
and
that's nice. Okay.
and Chelsea Kane, and like, and I know we're not all perfect, and we're all, I don't know where I'm going with this. Can we talk about something else?
Yeah, buddy. No. You're good. No. Honestly, and I, as always, I appreciate you being willing to go there and have these conversations. So no, we can lighten it up. Don't worry about it, Francis.
Humaning is hard.
Yeah. No, I know.
Humaning is hard.
Well,
I don't want people to get hurt. Could we please just be nice to each other and not maybe don't touch people if they don't want you to touch them, and don't promise people things you can give them, and don't lie to people, and maybe you should not be shitty to people because of the color of their skins, or
if they like the same sex people,
gender wise, or maybe just be nice. That'd be good.
Douglas Adams.
Kind.
Yeah, you might remember the quote from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy when somebody got nailed to a tree by suggesting that people just be nice to each other for a change. Yeah. So it's. But no, I love that
thing with my kids. I'm like, you don't always have to be nice, but you do have to be kind.
Good.
I think sometimes the kind thing is not necessarily the nice thing, but that is a distinction that we can get into another time.
I understand. As we transition into lighter things.
Yes, lighter things.
I might, that's a good public service message, what you just rattled off right there. So there we go. That I like all of that. So here, I'm going to pull back and give a little room to some comments. And Chris Conley says, I really like the mythology that was utilized in Aquaman. Mm-hmm. See, we're making a full 180. I have been curious about unspoken water and how did Kelly come across the concept and figure to use it in Aquaman? Thank you.
How did I come across the concept? I don't know. I was looking around for. So I did my analysis of the character and sort of found what was interesting to me about him as an engine, and I think we talked about that before, but like briefly, it was I was looking for a core wound for him, and was like going through, and I felt like the quote unquote fish out of water thing didn't really work because pretending that that the handsome, literally bulletproof white man paid a price for being Atlantean in our world when he's like a member of the Justice League. It was like tone deaf and disingenuous. So the fish out of water didn't work for a core wound, and I was looking through a bunch of other things, and it was like, what, there's the Johns thing where he killed Manta's father, and like guilt is a really great core wound, but I felt like that was both too recent and also too dark for what I wanted to do, which was a blue sky book, right? I really see Aquaman as an upward facing hero. Right?
Sure.
We've talked about upward facing heroes and downward facing heroes before, right? And like Superman upward facing, Batman downward facing, right? Carol upward facing, Jess downward facing. Like there's
Jess being Jessica Jones?
No, Jessica Drew.
Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman. Okay, go on.
Yeah. Because I wrote Carol and Jessica together a lot. Because I think that upward facing and downward facing make good pair. Like
it's good conflict. Absolutely. Yeah. Good contrast too. Yeah.
And so anyway, I really felt like Aquaman was an upward facing character, and so so having that kind of like you murdered a dude was just too. That was too dark for me. So anyway, and if it's also important to me if I can connect their gift to their wound, that's really effective. And so I was thinking about the fact that his mother abandons him as a child and leaves him to be raised by his human father, and his father like takes him to the shore every morning to look for his mother, which is just like, that's just mean, right? And it was like, okay, that's abandonment, right? Abandonment's a really good core wound. And then can I link that to his gift? And yes, I can. He can call every creature in the ocean back to him except his mom, right? And so it's like, okay, so that's a good
core
engine, right? And so so I had that, and then I was like, all right, so what does that give me as a character? That gives me somebody who would be overaccomplished because they're always trying to prove to the absent parent that they shouldn't have left, that they were worthy, right? That gives me somebody who would have an outsized sense of duty because his mom left for duty, and so because she had to return to Atlantis, right? And so that the only way that it wouldn't be a rejection of him was if duty was the most important thing, right? So duty has to be the most important thing, like check. And the only thing about it that was like it doesn't really work is it would probably make him have like relationship problems, because if I was writing that character from scratch, it would be somebody who would end relationships, romantic relationships, before they could be left, right? Because they wouldn't never want to be abandoned again. And God bless him, Arthur is not. He's almost clingy, like God damn it, dude, little space, please. So that was the only one where I was like, that doesn't super track, but we'll go with it anyway. Then I was like, all right, I've got that. So like tonally, what do I want to do here? And it was like, all right, well, he's like ripped and hyper masculine, and like there's a sexuality about him, right? And water is this like core fluid, like and so I was starting to like all right, I want to begin with water, like what, like, and I kept thinking about how many myths, like creation myths, begin in water, and yes. And so I was going through that. So then I was just like looking for like reading about different mythologies and different creation myths, and kind of looking for like phrases that dealt with and metaphors with water, and I came across this Scottish thing of unspoken water, and it had and I just loved the sound of it. It was just like, I don't know what that means at all, you know. And so I loved the kind of witchy element. So it was like, okay, well, I don't know what my story is about, but I know what it's called. So that's how I build things. I sort of fill in the pieces in this map and like try to make them all make sense together and like find all of the connections.
That's outstanding. There you go. And here's a good question. Paul Baker, this might sound random, but actually with the Scottish myth talk, does Callie speak with any specific accent? For some reason, I always read her dialogue as very Welsh.
Yeah, she's based on the Cailleach, which is a Celtic creature. So yes, very good.
I like it. Chaos in Comics. What made you accept the Aquaman book at the time? It seemed like a strange match. Yeah, why Aquaman?
Exactly that reason. So
interesting, because of the challenge.
Yeah, because we were in Bendis's hospital room when he was so very sick, and we were trying to keep his spirits up, and he was talking about getting the gang back together and everybody come play together and we'll all do, and like we were casting each other on DC books, right? And it was like, you know, oh, and Kel should do Supergirl, and I was like, yeah, no,
plus been there already.
Yeah, like Kara Danvers, maybe
Indeed.
not. You know, like,
well, even prior to that, prior to Flashpoint, you had your brief Supergirl run as well. I
did a 3-issue Supergirl arc, which I really loved, but like I kind of built my career on Carol Danvers, and like,
right,
she's an overpowered, you know, beautiful blonde. Like I found my way into that character. That is my take. You know,
I'm with
like,
you. Absolutely.
I was like, done. Like, I don't know, you know, I don't know what new I have to bring to that. And so, so it was like, yeah, no. And then I think like we talked about some bat stuff, and then like I made fun of bats, and and then Brian was like, you wouldn't want to do Aquaman, would you? And I was like, no, you know, and then my husband, Matt, was like, hold on. It's like, two things. One, Mr. Jason Momoa. Two, I have no idea what you on Aquaman looks like, and that is intriguing to me.
Yep.
And I had the same reaction. It was just like, I don't know what that looks like either. And that is really interesting. And so when DC wanted to know if I wanted to pitch, I was like, will you take a pitch from me on Aquaman? And they were like, yes, we will. So
that's awesome. Yeah.
So then I was like, all right, what's my take? And then back to the answer to the other question. But yeah, it was mostly the like, do I want to live with Jason Momoa in my head for a year and a half, 2 years? I'm like, yes, I do want that, actually. And then also there's a sort of like, it's just like unsafe. It was off brand. And so it was just like, that's interesting. Let's see what we can do with that. You know,
I get it, and I'm glad to hear that. And I always was disappointed that your Avengers run in Marvel wasn't longer, because I appreciated what you were doing there. And also, it's like, all right, everybody, get off. As far as publishers, please let the women write men for a while, because just as it's intriguing to see Greg Rucka write strong women, and I mean that's because, and also, Kel, this flies in the face of stay in your lane.
Yeah,
we don't. I don't want white people writing black people. I don't want straight people writing gay people, and I certainly don't want women writing men. And it's like, why? I'm sorry. That while I appreciate the need for inclusion, I also want writers to be able to write whatever the fuck they want. But
I mean, there is a like, white men have been able to write everything forever,
this
right?
Is true.
You know,
this
and
so
like the joke I always make, and I've made it to you before, right? Is that my favorite Spider-Woman run is Bendis's, and he is neither a spider nor a woman.
This is true,
right? You know, so you know, it's another one of those things where it's sticky and not simple, right? Because because people, we should have people from marginalized communities telling stories because of the first person perspective. But there is also the thing where we don't want to become a library of narcissuses where, you know, we're only ever looking at ourselves, and part of reading and writing other experiences is developing empathy, right? It's complicated, and I like to write women wherever possible, because I think in our industry we don't have just enough women characters as protagonists. So I like as often as possible to write women and to add women to stories, and all, you know, as villains and heroes. And like, it's, you know, it's always my first go-to is like, make it a lady, you know, but at the same time, I also, I have mixed feelings about the fact that I don't have mixed feelings about, like, I'm glad I got to write Aquaman, right? And but it does feel the status that comes with writing, like a woman writing a male-led book. It was like she transcended her gender, you know, like, do you know what I mean? Like, we don't say that. Like, that's an odd thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't say that about when a man, like when Bendis wrote Spider-Woman, nobody was like, you know, or Jessica Jones or any of the other female-led books that he's written, right?
Sure.
Or Dan Slott on She-Hulk, you know,
or Greg,
we weren't, you know, or Greg on Wonder Woman, or you know, anything, or Greg on fucking anything, right? We don't be like, we're not like, oh, that's interesting, you know? It's like, it's just, well, there's just a writer, right? And so then, like, as a woman getting to do that, it was, I was chuffed, right? Like I had, you know, but then you also like that. That's also like, there's a story about her name is escaping me at the moment, but there's a story about a modern artist. I'm super, super embarrassed that I can't, her name is not on the tip of my tongue, but I'm going to make this worse. She was Jackson Pollock's wife.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't think of her name, but I kind of know. Yeah.
Anyway, there's a story about her giving Mondrian a tour of an exhibition, and they came to one of her pieces, and he loved it. But what he said to her was, "It's so good you can't even tell a woman did it."
Oh fuck. Yeah.
You know, and like that was her hero, right?
Oh.
Yeah. And I have had an experience like that, where, you know, I had backstage at a big con event thing. I somebody is working comics, and I will not name them, but somebody who's working comics I really admire, told me that they liked my Captain Marvel, and which, you know, like you hear a lot, but you know they know you wrote Captain Marvel. You also know that they didn't read it, right?
Okay. By the way, Lee Krasner, Pollux.
Lee Krasner, thank you.
Dean and Mario and several others are chiming in, so I wanted to do that for your own, own relief of remembering.
Mortified.
That's all right. No. No, and I done. You know, Kel, I did that, and I hope not as awkwardly and shamefully. Alex DeCampi, I had no idea when I was reading when I was exposed to her stuff. And I'm like, oh, this guy's great.
Yeah.
And truly, I believe in my brain was like, oh no, by the way, she's a woman. And it's like, oh, all right. Yeah. You know, whatever. And that's cool. And it's like, and I continue to be an Alex DeCampi fan as far as her work and everything. And speaking to her, I just talked to her prior to all the shit that just happened and everything. But go on, please.
Yeah. So anyway, so this guy starts citing to me things that happened in my run. So it was clear that he actually had read it, and I was like really taken aback and kind of touched, you know?
Sure.
And then he says, he's like, yeah, I don't know. Most women can't write superheroes. I don't know what that is, but you can.
Of course you can.
And it was just like,
well, I mean, of course,
we were this close, dude. We were we were right there. You almost and it, you know, and it was just like, he's an old man. Just take it. Thank you. You know,
there is that generational thing, Kel. And then, I understand. I totally understand. Yeah.
But it was like, oh, you cannot see past my gender at all. It is not, you cannot imagine that I am capable of the same things that a man is capable of, because you're never astonished when a man writes from a different perspective.
You're right.
Right. And so that was heartbreaking. But.
Well, and the few exceptions, like truly, as you're describing all that, I'm like, God damn, as a grade schooler, loved Hercule Poirot, Agatha Christie. And didn't occur to me as a child that, wow, this is really something. Look at how this woman writes this guy. It never occurred to me. It was fucking
because it shouldn't be, right?
Yeah.
You know? Well, I mean, there's actually a Junot Diaz quote that will get me in trouble. Never mind. I'm not going to say it.
All right, fine. Because I stepped over you and I was going to tell you to say the name again. But if you don't want to go there, that's cool.
No. I know. Yeah.
Somebody wanted to, and forgive me, guys and women, I didn't see in the chat who said it, and as I'm trying to get other things to talk about with Kel, somebody wanted to talk about your Ghost run at Dark Horse with Phil Noto.
Yeah.
And if you had any memories of that, I great team up. We talked about it when it was happening years ago. But yeah, any I mean, truly, again, I mean, both of you as creators, I have tremendous respect for, and it was a great time to see you both working together.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I also worked with Chris Sabella on that for a while.
Okay.
And I was really taken with wanting to write about journalists and journalists as heroes, right? So that was kind of what I was interested in there. And then also just that it was horror, you know, was like, oh, this is not a thing I get to write very often. So let's get a little dark here. But it was fun. We had a good time. Phil's a delight.
Excellent. Mario has a good question. What's happening with your Black Label Wonder Woman?
It's so good. It's so good. Oh, look, it's so good. I knocked out my earbud. So I don't think the artist on issue 2 has been announced, which is totally weird because I have so many pages.
Okay.
And issue 1 it is so good. Somebody said, how good is it? It's
Yes,
so
I
good.
see.
It's so good.
Really, that's good.
Oh my god. Oh
That's
my
wonderful.
god. I wish I could show you things. But you
There'll
should
be time.
go.
You got to come back.
You should go to Phil Jimenez's Instagram, and you will see just a tiny little bits of things that if you could see the whole thing, it's gonna blow your fucking mind.
Atta girl.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. Yeah, I'm crazy proud of it. Phil Jimenez has lost his fucking mind in the best possible way. And okay, all right. I'm gonna be bad. I'm gonna show you some things.
Oh yay!
But I'm just gonna show you some.
Good job, Mario. You got her going. This is.
I'm gonna get killed. I'm gonna get in so much trouble.
This is great though, because last night I was talking to Nicola, and talking about her love of Wonder Woman and everything. So this is wonderful.
Yeah.
I love this, and I know Phil loves the character as well. So once again, two great creators working on something they love. That's wonderful, man.
So I pitched this as okay. So this is, I'm just going to hold this up to you for a second.
Sure.
Here's some studies he did on all right, so there's 6 different tribes of Amazons in the first 30 original Amazons, okay? Mm-hmm. And so this is one of the tribes. Let's see if you can see that.
There you go.
Can you?
No, but I'll put it on the TV later. People watching on the big screen are good. That's all right. You know what? I don't know if you're on Chrome, but you could share screen if you were on Chrome.
Okay. All
right. But it's fine. But it's okay. No.
I am on Chrome, but
okay. No problem, buddy.
But yeah. So all right. Well, that was shitty. That was a big tease.
No, not at all. And again, I maybe people could see it better. I got the glasses on for a reason.
Yeah, it doesn't. It looks like the glare is messing it up.
Yeah,
it's not quite in focus. Oh,
yeah,
damn it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I'm thrilled though for you, honestly. That's excellent.
Yeah.
When do we know when? Does it have a start date yet or no?
So I keep hearing it's not been solicited. Okay. I keep hearing that they want so there's 64-page issues, right? So they're huge.
Yeah, they are. That's good.
And I pitched it as 9 64-page issues.
God damn.
Yeah. And
wow. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So I'm going to be 150 when it finally comes
shit.
out. But but it is the history of the Amazons from the perspective of the Amazons, and it goes from the moment that the Amazons are conceived of, the moment that the goddesses decide we need the Amazons in the world.
Okay.
And it runs through Hippolyta's rise and fall, and then ends with it ends when Steve Trevor lands on the beach. So it ends where Wonder Woman's story traditionally begins.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. Interesting.
The inciting incident of which is a man, right? Is the entrance of a man. So so that's where our story ends.
So that's like a World of Krypton kind of take on the Wonder Woman mythos. If that's a fair comparison.
Yeah. It's
that's true. Hey, Cal, put it up again because I could full screen your ass. And
you know what? Here, hold on. I think if I turn off my other stuff, I can pull something up that you could actually see, and then I can screen share. But hold on, I gotta get things down that you guys are not allowed to see. My deadline schedule. You don't want that. Pages. Oh my god. Oh shit. I don't know what DC will yell at me for. But I also have
actually Clark Bull does watch. I know he was watching last night.
I have Klaus Janson inked John Romita Jr. pages from my detective story.
Awesome! Wow. Yeah. Oh, in Detective 1027.
Yeah.
Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, well, all right. So, well, and again, I don't want to distract you because my brain can't do 20 things at once. What can you tell us about your Detective 1027 story? As you're
Well,
looking for your pages.
so I
don't want you to spoil them. You know that.
Yeah. No, it's they said, "Hey, would you be interested in doing a Batman story?" And I was like, "Oh." And then sorry.
No, that's great. I love that. That is not the normal reaction, and it's great to hear somebody be like, "Yeah, Batman, whatever, fuck Batman."
Oh, he's like a whiny teen. Like there's something I don't like. Oh, I'm so dark. I'm so wounded. I'm so sad. Something bad happened to me a really long time ago, and I've never really moved past it.
Not the first person I've heard say that. I completely understand.
Like I like somebody did a thing where they were like, post your hot Batman take, and I was like, there are no ethical billionaires.
See, we could have fun, Kel.
Yeah,
it wasn't all going to be fucking doom and dread. You're killing me, hon. That's fantastic.
But yeah, so they were like, "Do you want to do a Batman thing?" And I'm like, "No, I really don't." And then I'm reading on in the letter and thinking like immediately I was like, "Oh, polite decline," And then they were like, "We're putting together this thing," and we thought you would be really good to do. And see, this is really smart. If you're an editor or you're going into editorial. This is how they got me for Ghost, and this is and like if you want a particular writer on a thing, like find their sweet spot and pitch to that. And this guy pitched to me to do this and said, and I don't remember if it was Dave or Paul, but there's two editors on this book, but whichever one wrote the email to me was like, we'd like you to do this, and we would be interested in you exploring his work ethic, right? And I was like, which is like, I was like, oh, that is someone who clearly knows that is an interest of mine, that like I have an interest in work ethics, right? And it was like, and then they were like, and also we think if you're interested, we'd really love to pair you up with John Romita Jr. And it was like, shit. Well, I guess I'm writing a fucking Batman story. And
thinking it. That's great.
Yeah, and then they were. I was like, so who's gonna? Like I'd written it, and they're like, I was like, who's gonna ink it? And they're like, oh, we think Klaus Janson. I was like, ah! So that was not feedback. That was actually me squealing.
I'm hip. Yeah.
Yeah, and it looks so cool. It looks so cool. And
awesome.
And Romita was a blast to work with. And
that's great. I love Johnny. And Johnny's a good dude.
So the whole thing was just great. And so yeah, it was a very funny thing. Don't tell DC I don't like Batman.
Are there other people? All right, and it's just a stock question. Sometimes I ignore it, but I mean, are there other DC heroes that you want to do? Honestly. Really, Kel, I always felt because of your body of work, obviously being in Marvel for so long, it was like, oh, this is interesting. I wonder how Kel feels about various DC characters and coming over and stuff. And that's why your Batman comments are fantastic.
Yeah, so it's funny because I grew up reading DC. I didn't read a Marvel comic until I was an adult.
Interesting.
So, yeah. So in sometimes it's I haven't asked Phil if I can show any of this. I'm a bad person. All right, these are some studies. He's gonna fucking kill me. How do I share this?
At the bottom of the screen on your controls, share screens near the middle. Okay. It's mute, stop cam mic, and share screen. So if you do that, and then I'm gonna minimize us so that it will allow you to.
Okay. So
when you're ready. You can just it's going to share screen, and then it's going to ask you in your Chrome tabs which specific screen you want to show.
Oh, okay. All right. So
it'll give you a couple options of share screen.
I guess that's it. Wait, what did I do?
Okay, yep, I see it. There we go. Oh, she went away. All right, she'll come back. It's all right. Don't worry. She'll come back. Everybody's asking great questions. Everybody's making great comments. You'll forgive me that that I'm laughing because she just disappeared for a second, but she'll come back. It's cool. I should maybe text her and let her know she can come back. Either that or Matt pulled the plug and is like, hey, like your entire family's waiting for you. All right, there she is. Hold on. All right, you're back. It's cool. Don't worry about it.
I'm sorry. All right, we're trying this.
That's okay. Okay, because for a brief second it did appear, and I can share it, and then we'll be here still, but your screen will dominate the picture.
Okay. All right. What did I do wrong?
So you hit share screen, and then you go to your tabs and just click on that.
Is that?
No, I don't see it yet to bring it up.
Okay, hold on.
No problem. That was fantastic that you dropped out. It's like, okay.
I know. I'm it's
like the kids are like, hey, we're hungry.
Yeah.
Stop talking to John. This is why we're glad John doesn't live in Portland. So, but it was so great as you're trying to struggle with this. And again, always for fleeting moments. And this is why it's great to see you and Matt.
No, I'm like 500 years old. I don't know how to work the VCR.
Buddy. I say the same thing. I'm like, Grandpa's VCR is blinking 12, and he doesn't know what to do. So no, I'm completely tight. And again, if it's too much, it's cool.
Yeah, I think it's too much because I keep trying to do it, and then it doesn't.
It's cool.
Lost permission to. Yeah, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, fuck it. It's all right.
All right, you guys. I'm sorry. It's real pretty. That's all I can tell you. It's
and Phil is breathing a sigh of relief that you're not sharing.
Yeah, now Phil won't.
Yeah, be pissed off and everything. I got to get Phil back. Jesus, I haven't talked to him forever, and I love talking to Phil.
So
he's amazing.
Good. I love him so much.
He's a good dude. Absolutely. So are there other DC heroes that you want to, that you would be willing to reveal? Because that's the other thing is like, I always feel like when asking that, it's like, hey, let her tell her goddamn stories.
Yeah,
when she's ready to tell her goddamn stories.
The big problem with it, is if you say the name of a character that somebody else is writing, it just sounds like you're like I'm after your job, right? And if you say the name of a character that nobody's writing, somebody is like, some editor's like, oh, that's right, that character's out there, and then you're like, no, don't get to it first, right? So it's just like this sticky question to answer. I will say that the only thing I have ever collected in comics is Lois Lane. And Lois Lane is maybe my favorite character, but I don't know that I would ever want to write a Lois Lane book, because I think it's one of those things where I just would like to stay a fan of a thing, you know?
Interesting.
I've written the character a couple times and it's really fun. Mm-hmm. And I really like her, and I'm glad I got to write her, but I don't know if I need to do that, Okay. So I don't know. We'll see.
Working Man suggested work ethic examination in the relationship between Ted Cord and Booster Gold. Interesting.
All right.
Sure. Here, Sinael, I hope I'm saying your name right. Kelly Sue doing a magic-based, so Zatanna, Lord of Fate, or Constantine?
Constantine would be a blast. Yeah.
That'd be cool. Yeah. Did you see, and again, you're busy as hell, and the last animated movie that they just released, that Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. Really good. Really good.
All right, sweet.
Yeah, and I just talked to James Tucker, the supervising producer of all the animation stuff. As you write TV, any thoughts of dipping into the DC TV universe?
My son, I'm a very bad parent. So my
no, you're not, but okay.
My 12-year-old boy and I watch the Harley Quinn show together, which is very
you are
much
a bad parent.
I'm a super bad.
No, you're
terrible,
not. You're a cool parent. That is great, hon. That is terrific. Again,
it is not for kids at all. And it's our make some popcorn. Come watch a story with mommy.
It's a cool mom. Hey man, that's awesome. My dad was like that with great. Yeah. Well, no. My dad was like that. Anatomy of a Murder, the great Jimmy Stewart movie. I was like 12 or 13, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to stay up with me and watch this movie?" And it's about rape, and I'm a 12-year-old kid, but he's like, "You don't understand. This was banned in Boston." And I'm like, and truly, this is why I love my father, because he knows I'm okay. Or when Raging Bull came out, I was a freshman in high school, and he wanted me to see it for all the New York neighborhood scenes, as terrible as they are. He's like, I lived in a neighborhood like that. He goes, not with my family, but we could hear the shouting. And he goes, and my stepmother was like, well, it's inappropriate for him to see it. And he hit the kitchen table and he's like, he's seeing it. And I was so thrilled. I'm like, way to go, Dad. No.
Matt does movie school with our kids. So like,
excellent.
Pretty funny. Henry, I'm going to let my dog in my office or he's not going to stop talking. One second.
Go right ahead. It's okay. We will acknowledge some of the people.
Stella, come on.
Here we go.
All right. Sorry.
I agree. It's all right. Hey, Shelly's here.
That was embarrassing, but she runs the show and she would not have stopped barking.
I understand. Look who's joining us for a second. Shelly Bond.
Hey, what's up, girl? Love. I was just talking about you yesterday.
She's the best.
You on the why?
She's been on twice in the last 2 months, and she's been on years before. But all I do is get more and more respect for Shell and how much I appreciate her and everything. So where's my hat? I know. As I told Shell made me wear because we did a total garage band thing with her and China Cluxton Flores.
Yeah.
And she's like, hey, you better dress. And I'm like, okay. So I got a fedora and I don't have the buttons I used to from the New Wave days.
Yeah.
But I totally try to approximate the IRS mascot and stuff. I looked like the grandfather on Pawn Stars. I swear to God. Chumley, no. Just horrible. So I was very, very embarrassed. And I'm like, that's not going to happen again. So no, I got my almost Jeff Johns hat going right now. So thank you, Shell. She says I look great. Okay, I appreciate it. But regardless, enough about me. This is hilarious. Now, again, Sinel, my mom and I did Man from Uncle and Dune.
Yeah.
That's cool.
There you go.
Well, I know, and it's one of the reasons why
Henry and Matt just watched Jaws the other night, by the way, which was
outstanding. And this is what I was going to say. This is why the three of us, you, Matt, and I, bonded immediately because it's we're name checking all these great movies and books that we love, and I'm like, oh, these are good kids. And again, relatively speaking, I think of you guys as kids. Yeah. So this is great.
Yeah. So Henry and I watched the Harley Quinn show, and and we super love it.
You know what's great? Pat Schumacher has been on one of the co-showrunner. Yeah. And two things. One, he's got literally, because I asked him, just tell me about your writing staff. Rattled off all these great women comedians and comedy writers that are writing for the show, but also, as you know, some of the real wow, you guys went there, and he's like, yep, and I'm like, first of all, the brass at Warner Brothers was like, yeah, go ahead, and he's like,
so, yeah, it's and so then good. Also, it's
I'm like, so good, and the women were like the Dr. Psycho overarching joke.
It's the best. It's the best. It's so fun, but it's it's incredibly well done. It's incredibly well done. It's really smart. That's the thing. That's why it works. Is because it's really fucking smart.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you.
Yeah, no, and it. Yeah, no, I'm super jealous of it actually.
So, Shell, when she first came on, she totally was wearing, as I told her, I'm like, oh, you jumped out of a Missing Persons album cover to join me today. Because there's great shit that's black and white check dress and totally wearing sunglasses. I'm like, you are killing me, lady.
She's super mod.
She's super mod. Indeed. So I don't know. Well, first of all, let's drop 50 pounds, but we'll get there. We'll get there, Cal.
Not during the quarantine.
Yeah.
No, buddy.
I understand. Jesus, woman. We have been going 90. Do you, it's close to dinner time. I don't want to mess up the family dynamic. It's up to you.
We're good.
Okay. More questions, kids. Chaos and Comics. I watch Harley Quinn with my priest. Fantastic. I like that picture.
Excellent.
Let's see. Okay, and I'm gonna scroll back and see anything else. This was Shell saying that we are movie geeks. Anything else new that you've seen? I'm psyched for Rucka in a week with the Old Guard, the Charlize Theron.
Yeah, I know.
I'm excited for that.
What have I been? No, you know what? And I'm super behind on television because the quarantine and homeschooling ate my entire life.
Sure.
I haven't even my favorite currently running show in theory is Westworld. But I've only seen one, maybe two. I think just one episode, actually. I'm not 100% sure
Of the
that.
current season.
I might have seen it of the current season. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and not for lack of affection on it. I'm just totally behind.
Okay, Rick Conway, thank you for Captain Marvel. I share your quote about her and Steve Rogers all the time. Love it. And thank you for introducing me to the Mercury 13. Both of those are great. First, remind me of the quote of her and Steve Rogers.
It has a curse in it.
That's okay. Again, you can swear. Don't worry about
it. It's when I went to go talk to the Marvel folks about the Captain Marvel movie, and I was talking to Feige, and who's Aces, by the way?
What do you mean? Was that a new comment?
No. I mean, he's a good dude.
Oh, who is Aces? The Feige is great. Yeah.
Like, cool. I don't know him real well, but like every interaction with him has been sort of. I mean, I was kind of like this, you know,
Sure,
and like,
sure.
No, like he is a legit comics dude.
That's awesome. Well, that's why they've been such great movies. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know,
I was like, oh no, you totally get it. I should shut the fuck up. You're like, so, yeah. So, anyway, we were talking about, and I was saying how, you know, he was asking me what's the defining characteristic of Carol, and I was like, you know, she always gets back up, you know, and and he was like, that's Steve Rogers. He even says that I could do this all day, right? You know, and I was like, yeah, but the difference is Steve gets up because it's the right thing to do. Carol gets back up because fuck you.
Nice,
you know, and that's the difference.
Understood.
Right?
Yes.
It is Carol occupies this space. Like, you know, we look at and I'm looking, where's my camera? There we go.
Here, I'll take myself out of the picture so you can even
get no, it's okay. I was just making a triangle. We all know what triangles look like. There's a triangle. And so if you make a triangle with these big properties that have like three heroes, you'll find that like very often there's one character that's centered between the other two. So like you know, Kirk is sort of a combination of Spock and McCoy, right? And Harry is like a combination of Hermione and Ron, and Luke as Han and Leia, right? Like, you know, that you can make that, and Carol is Steve and Tony. So like there's she's the part of Steve that's the soldier, but she's the part of Tony that's got that like twinkle in the eye, right? Like there's that she's got that fuck you.
I'm with you.
And that's that quote.
By the way, two things. One, talking to you made me aware of the Mercury 13 years ago, but also do you have Apple TV? Have you seen For All Mankind? Are you aware of For All Mankind?
I am aware of For All Mankind. I have not seen it yet, nor have I seen Ms. America.
I haven't either. The FX show.
Yeah, which is supposed to be fucking great.
Yeah,
and
I hear the same thing.
It was even directed by Anna and Ryan, who directed Captain Marvel. I'm not certain of that, but I believe that's right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I've heard exceptionally good things about it. But like, no, I have a list of stuff I want to get to that I haven't gotten to yet. But yeah, I'm psyched for both of those. But yeah. I know that I'll be like, you know.
Well, maybe
we couldn't do that on radio. We couldn't do that on radio. We can be like,
this is true. No, I really think
see my dog.
Yeah, hey, buddy. Seriously, people were asking, and I'm going to minimize.
Yeah, there she is. That's Stella. Something happened, and you just disappeared. It's my show now, you guys. He's gone. He's accidentally left the studio.
No. You couldn't hear me. You couldn't hear me when I was. You couldn't hear me at all. Okay, well then I'm going to set this up, and then I will tell you. People wanted to know about the art behind you in your office, so I will take myself out. But
let's see if I can
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh,
There's
AC/DC.
it's an AC/DC poster and an Iron Maiden poster and a Tina Turner poster and a Kiss poster. And on the back of the door is a chart of the Greek pantheon. And then the one at the very top that is blasted out because of my lamp is a piece of protest art that I bought in a Paris flea market. And then there is another AC/DC poster over there. There you go.
Outstanding. That's fantastic. Excellent.
Yes.
Very cool.
Because I am an old.
Shut up. Well, like I said the other day on Twitter, I'm like, I love these bands from 40 years ago. And I realized I'm like, in the early 80s, this is how my father felt about all the big bands that he still loved.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, fuck. It's happened. So, yeah, I totally understand. What else? The show about Phyllis Schlafly. That's Mrs. America, of course. Okay.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine just texted me to say that yes, Anna and Ryan directed it.
Oh, excellent. Been following Kelly's work since the We Forum days. Yeah, the engine. Yeah. Is there during Art Bomb Fraction did an amazing review of, I don't know what that is.
Tekken Concrete. It's a Taiyu Matsumoto book. Yes.
Okay.
It's Taiyu Matsumoto is one of my favorite creators in all of comics. His work has been made into some really extraordinary films too. And when I was doing the English adaptations of manga early in my career, I got to do one Taiyu Matsumoto book. I got to do Blue Spring, which is also a fantastic movie. And the soundtrack is by the Michelle Gun Elephant, who are a fan-fucking-tastic garage band out of Japan. They have disbanded. But they were like the U2 of Japan, and they were fucking great. And they have a song called "Long Red Haired Kelly." Which I'm like,
I don't get it,
except for the long part. Short, long haired, red haired Kelly. Indeed. Short red haired Kelly. Anyway,
you're killing me. I loved your translations of the Barbarella stuff that you did a few years ago.
Oh yeah, that was a good time. That was crazy. That stuff is bat shit, but I love it.
Outstanding. Looking for any other questions. Yeah, you're killing me, hon. Seriously. And in the best way. So, okay. I think we're good. Yeah, I don't know.
All right, we all caught up?
Yeah, looks like it, buddy. Yeah.
All right.
You want to wrap?
Sure.
All right. I mean, buddy, swear, just like with Matt, I could go 3 hours with you. You know that.
I know. But
I don't want to, because I appreciate, again, it's
it's fun. And actually I'm in a much better mood coming off this call than I was going into it. So
my friend,
so that is lovely. So thank you for that, and thank you to all of the fine folks who have hung out with us. Shelly's mad at me because you don't like you too, Shelly? Come on.
How do you not like? Exactly. Seriously. And she has been, she got me into, and I'm going to say it wrong, probably Cud, and I'm probably saying it wrong. This great British band that is like kind of from the 80s and still around and stuff like that. So I'm learning from Shell.
Yeah. I don't have.
Yeah, it is Cud. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Shell's right.
I do not have like deep musical cred, I like what U2 sucks. Fuck you. All right, lady.
Yeah, they don't. Well, I will say I love more early U2 than later U2, but it's okay. I mean, I'm like unforgettable after Unforgettable or after Joshua Tree. I'm like,
no. Okay, so folks are like, no, because artists evolve and artists need to be right. And if they were to continue to write music that was about being poor, young, and hungry, it would not have been
right. It would
real,
be
right?
Sincere, absolutely,
absolutely. I'm like, I love Zootopia and like.
Okay. I saw them.
Zootopia. Wait, that's
no.
That's Zooropa.
Yeah. Or yeah. And also,
Zootopia is the movie. It's the animated movie
with the sloth and everything. I remember. I saw them live at the Aragon in Chicago.
Really?
Oh yeah, and it was around War that they were touring and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I saw them when they were young and angry. So how about and again, our Shell and my mutual love of Paul Weller and the Jam and the Style Council.
Yeah, so I'm not like 80s music is not super my shit, you know.
That's cool. That's
but
right.
and I'm like, you know, I was a like Hesher kid, you know, so so I like dirty rock and roll and
Nothing wrong with that.
no, and I took and this is also a thing for me about like separating like the art from the artists, because a lot of the music that I enjoy or the shows that or the like, you know, live bands that I enjoy are like really terrible human beings, you know.
It happens.
So I took my kids to see Iron Maiden recently. And,
hilarious.
Yeah, and it was like it was so good. It was so good. And I didn't take them to see Kiss for the End of the Road tour, which, by the way, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, sure, it's the end of the road." I'm like, dude, he's 69 up on those platform heels over the stage, spitting blood, and it's fucking cool. But no, it's for real the end of the road. Like,
so
you know,
it beyond Paul Stanley and why am I blanking on Gene Simmons? Yeah, Chris and Frehley don't tour with them anymore, correct?
No. They have replacements,
right?
Right. And those two guys are younger, and they do a hell of a job, actually. You know, and but yeah, I mean, Gene Simmons is 69 years old on like 8-inch platform heels, flying over the audience, playing bass and spitting blood, and it's fucking fantastic, and I loved it, and I was screaming and so happy, and I wore my face paint.
Hilarious.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You're killing me.
My our family I have here.
Yeah, we don't have to be done. I love this.
This is our family holiday card.
Hold on, I'm gonna get myself out again.
There we go. So yeah, that's me up on the ladder, and Matt as Paul Stanley, and Henry as Gene Simmons, and Tallulah as Peter Criss. And yeah, it's the best.
That's awesome, and that's really lousy of you to do that to poor Tallulah, that she has to be Peter Criss, but somebody's got to be Peter.
Oh Criss, no, she picked it.
Oh, did she really? That's hilarious. Now, Henry has a Bitch Planet question. Did you copyright and trademark Bitch Planet before pitching it to a publisher?
No, you know what my pitch process for Bitch Planet was? Pretty Deadly had done better than expected, and so I got an email from Eric Stevenson at Image, and he was like, you know, Pretty Deadly's done pretty well. I think we should talk about what comes next. And I wrote him back, and I was like, yeah, Val D'Landro, and I've been developing this thing that's kind of a feminist take on exploitation and like women in prison and space, and we get a working title of Bitch Planet, but we don't have to call it that. And he wrote back and was like, I would very much like to publish something called Bitch Planet. And that was it. That was the entire pitch.
How are Val and God damn it, for
Emma?
And Emma? Yeah, how are they doing?
They're doing good. Yeah, I cosplayed at a Kiss concert. Fuck yeah.
Atta girl.
Sorry, I saw that.
No, you're good. That's awesome. And you're helping me, so that's good. It's hard to talk and maintain the.
Is it cosplay though? Is that? I guess it's cosplay. I don't know. I mean, I wore face paint to a Kiss concert because I did.
No, a lot of people do. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and also to Christmas. But let's see. what was the question I was answering?
Val and Emma, how they doing?
Oh, Valentine is fantastic, and Emma is fantastic. I talk to them both weekly, and Emma is doing another book right now. In the interim, she's doing a thing. She doesn't need a writer. She's
Of course,
she is the whole package.
Absolutely.
So she is she's working on a
Solo book
she's doing herself, and then we'll come back and do the next chapter.
Last arc was great. We previewed it the last time you and I
spoke.
spoke.
The rat! I'm so proud of it. I'm so proud of it. And then Val, we have finished Bitch Planet 11. We just did registered for the New York. Hold on one second. I'll grab it. It's right here at my feet.
Yeah, it's cool. No, you're good. Hold on. I'm going to take myself out of the picture again. Put it back up.
So
hold on. When you get your put it back up for a second. I'll take myself out of the picture.
Okay, it's a comic on voting rights that we did for the New York public school system. It's available for free on their website. I can't remember what the website is, but hit me up on Twitter and I'll find it for you. Or I don't know, you could probably Google, because that's all I'm going to do. You can New York City Department of Education, Civics for All registered, or do like registered comic Valentine D'Landro, and you'll find it.
Outstanding.
But yeah. So anyway, we did that together.
And he's a sweetheart. I love that guy.
Oh, he's great. He's fantastic.
Yeah. I got to get him back on. So that's a good excuse.
Sabbath or Priest as well. Yes.
Very nice. With Kiss, for me, Calling Dr. Love, obviously Rock and Roll All Night. Yeah. I was never a Kiss kid. I never was.
So the thing about Kiss is their music isn't as good as their shows.
I'm hip. Yeah.
So Kiss is all about the show. It's not really like, I don't listen to Kiss records. I don't know who listens to Kiss records. I mean, I did when I was 8, and I was in the Kiss Army. And as I am fond of saying, I never got any discharge papers. So as far as I know, I could still get called up. Maybe it will be me in the demon costume next year. You don't know. But yeah.
Here's a comment about Black Sabbath. My only test for being a genius is if you're smart enough to understand Dio. I do like Dio. Black Sabbath is better than Ozzy Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath is better.
I am not getting into that.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, but you got. Yes, I love Sabbath and I love Maiden and I love Priest. But like I'm an AC/DC girl, really.
Cool.
So a little lighter than AC/DC is like. I wouldn't call AC/DC metal. It's more garage rock, you know.
Yeah,
I like metal.
But I understand what you mean. No, I absolutely understand what you mean. Oh, that's so funny. Shelley's like Cheap Trick at Budokan. I am a huge Cheap Trick fan because of them being from Rockford, Illinois. And I always say their greatest badge of honor is doing that much better, rockier version of "I'm Losing You" with John Lennon.
Yeah,
and it's a great, dirty version of the song, and it's like, oh, how cool that they got to work with John Lennon before the end and everything. That's just
do you listen to the Rivals podcast?
No, tell me.
I really enjoy it. It's a podcast where they go through like musical beefs.
Okay.
Like
band against or within the band?
Band against band or artist against artist, like very often in the same band.
Sure.
I listened to the Oasis one this morning, which was kind of hilarious. That's I actually listened to 2 episodes today. I had because I was yes, Back in Black is my favorite song. It's
great album. Great album.
Favorite song. That's my favorite song.
I like that. I again, sadly, was in high school when Back in Black came out, and I loved it. It was excellent. And I'm a TNT guy as well as Back.
I will also burst into your home like the Kool-Aid Man if you put on Tina Turner.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Yes. Now there's, by the way, I was literally just watching the Elvis HBO documentary for the upteenth time, and they played a little bit of Bad Personal Guy, but musical genius, Rocket 88, Ike Turner, one of their founding rock and roll songs. And again, horrible person.
Horrible person.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And Tina came to XRT, the rock station I worked at for 10 years. Seriously, I am honestly,
I would have lost my shit.
She was amazing. John Fogerty came. It was like living in a Monkees episode because literally you didn't know who was going to show up. And Elvis Costello and Brian Ferry from Roxy Music. I've told Shelley these stories as well. And it's the truth. I mean, honestly, it was like the best 10 years of my radio career while I was working at the sports talk station, working at the rock station as well. And it was like, this is amazing.
Matt tells a story about I was reading Tina Turner. I don't know if it was a biography or an autobiography, and I got weepy, and I'm not a crier like at all.
Okay.
And he was like, "What's the matter?" And I just kind of put the book down on my lap, and I turned to him, and I was like, "Ike Turner was a bad man." I was like, yeah. I'm sorry you had to find out like this.
No shit. Good Lord. And all the people that saw What's Love Got to Do with it and everything. Oh, that's nice. Thank you, man.
Too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to digging into that. I have seen Tori play live 4 or 5 times, maybe more than that. She's probably the person I've seen live more than anything else. And her music doesn't really fit with anything else that I listen to, but I really love her. So
now look at this, Professor. Hold on. Where is he? There he is. Professor Collector Reviews. I knew Kelly Sue was the best. She's proved it. Thank you, John. I love the King speeches, Tom King. But move over, Tom King. Kelly Sue's the Queen speeches on steroids.
Oh.
We still be ready. Go ahead.
Kelly means warrior, and DeConnick is a derivative of DeConnick. So my name means warrior king.
That's outstanding.
So
I need to
Tom King.
Off the air. I need to discover your secret identity. I know Matt's secret identity, but that's okay. Kel, will you still be writing Aquaman after the Jordan Clark issues, written issues? And can you talk about what kind of music inspired Aquaman's run? Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, yes. Yes, I will still be writing after Jordan's run, but only to finish that arc. So Jordan's run is buying me some time because I had fallen behind, and we can't rush this ending. But I'm really proud of how we've actually wrapped it up. Like I'm
cool.
super, super proud of it. So it's some of the best. Yeah, I'm very, very proud of it. So
honestly,
I don't know anything about what happens after that. I know nothing, but I'm wrapping up my arc. I don't think that's been announced, so exclusive.
Oh, I like it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Sorry, Clark.
I kind of figured that, everyone's kind of time is wrapping up and everything. So no, I understand that. Shell wants me to give Brian Ferry her phone number. I understand. I like this. Kelly Sue to Conversations. Very cute. That could be, I got the fireside chats with Matt.
Or if you Google if you autocorrect DeConnick, it comes up demonic. So there's always Kelly Sue demonic, which also
I like both of those actually. Yeah, I'm gonna have to consider that. That's very good. My wife and I love Aquaman, legendary run. You and Roca make a great team.
He's a delight. He's a goddamn delight. And also Miguel. So Robson has moved on to, I believe he's doing Justice League right now. And Miguel Mendoza, I think, is wrapping it up with me, and Miguel's fucking killing it. And his style is so it melds so well with Robson's that it's entirely possible that you haven't noticed the switch.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Chaos in Comics. How bad do you want to write Punchline? Yeah, I don't see that.
No.
There you go.
But I do.
I'm talking to James next week.
I'm in talks about another DCU book. I'll say that.
Great.
So,
and of course, Wonder Woman coming, Black Label. So
Black Label Wonder Woman book that's happening. That is
right.
Yeah. I mean, we got to pick up the pace. We're gonna get out all 9 issues before I have to go into a home. But but yes. But yeah, that's yeah. I mean, the whole idea of Historia, which is the Wonder Woman Black Label project, was going to be it's epic. I wanted to do a Homerian epic with a woman at the center. So it is
interesting.
Diana and Wonder. Ooh, my hair. That thing I just did.
I like it.
Sorry about that, guys. Look, I haven't dyed my hair in a long time.
I put this hat on for a reason, as I told you before we started. So yes.
Hippolyta is at the center of it. Diana is an important part of the story, obviously, because hello, but it's really it's Hippolyta as a Homerian hero.
Understood. Interesting. That's excellent, man.
So that's why I wanted it to. That's why I pitched so big. It was like epic motherfucker. So it's like it's oversized. They had to it is heavy metal hair. They had to manufacture boards for Phil to do, because it's like it's super big. And oh God, I want to show it to you so bad. It's so good.
Well, Henry's saying that, Henry's saying that, excuse me. There we go. Jesse's saying Phil Jimenez art on Instagram looks amazing. So people
it does. Go check it out on his Instagram feed, because every once in a while he teases something, and I'm not sure what I'm allowed to show, but yeah, it is extraordinary. And then the next artist, who isn't announced, who's doing issue 2, like clearly came in and saw what Phil had done and was like, all right, and I'm like, oh yay. So like it's insane. Everybody's doing really tremendous work.
And given that it is, because you already said that they haven't announced the second issue, Eric was asking if every issue of Wonder Woman will have a different artist, given that it is 64 pages. It's
64 pages, so probably, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Although I have a dream, and it is probably a dream. I have a dream that that will rotate. So it would be like, because 9 issues is 3 3s. So like, wouldn't it be cool if Phil could come back and do issue 4? And then 7. But I don't know that he would, because this book has almost killed him, I think. But it's so incredible. So we'll see.
That's seriously, I like the Homerian suggestion. So that's going to be interesting. So will we get like a Wagner opera for this?
Yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Kel, it's been 2 hours. Are you okay?
Right. Yes. Yeah. We have more questions. Are we ready to go?
Looks all right. Last call for questions.
Let's call for questions.
And we can wrap up.
Bye, kiss. Love you. I will, Shelly. I'll drop you a line and let you know why I was talking about you. But
cool.
Yes.
No, that's great.
David Walker is an amazing writer.
Yes, and forgive me. As Shell was saying, and she knows that you guys are friends. And I don't know if how's David doing? I mean, honestly, this is I haven't talked to him yet.
Him since the
virus.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen anybody. We usually have dinner with the Mendezes just about every Friday, and we haven't done that. And we were doing virtual ones for a while, and we even kind of stopped doing that. And in fact, I saw
Bill Schweiger, and yes, and you know something? God damn it! I'm really glad you said that, Cal, because I've been meaning to ask you or Brian or Bill, who's been on this show, how that went. And talk about that for a second. That's
it was
really
pretty
cool
great. We did one with Bill, and we did one with Wes, Wes Eckhart and Bill Schweigert, and they were the families were super delightful. And my big fear was that that my kids would ruin it. Which I mean, like, I love my children, but they're kids, you know, and and like my daughter in particular is like, oh wait, there's a camera, you know, and like so it's just like it's so it was like it was a worry of mine. But yeah, it was really we had a great time. We had a really great time, and we actually like felt like we got to know them, you know, which was sort of lovely as well. And then we like sent a care package afterwards, and yeah,
that's cool. Bill, like I said, and stays in contact through email, told me that it was coming up and that he had, you know, bid on it and everything. It was one of the creators for comics.
It was a creators thing. Yeah. It was a good time. It was a good
That's
time.
outstanding. Well, yeah, Denny Dude wants to know how you guys are all doing.
We are doing all right. We're hanging in there. It's the hardest on my daughter. She is 10 and she is the most social of us. So if you can imagine someone who makes me look shy and retiring, that is my kid. So she's struggling a bit.
Okay.
And but everybody else is doing all right. You know, Henry, my son, is like, wait, I have to stay home and right on, Bill, and play video games. Well, okay, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the cutest thing in the entire universe. My mother-in-law lives with us, and she is 71 years old, and so we have to keep a very tight. She's a cancer survivor too, so she's we have some immune issues. We have to keep a very tight quarantine, and that's part of what's made it so hard for Tallulah. Is we can't. Some of her friends are loosening up, and we're like, oh, we are not loosening up. I'm sorry, no.
I understand.
But Karen has it like Karen and I will play Animal Crossing together. Only Karen plays Animal Crossing, and Karen plays Animal Crossing. I got her for Mother's Day a Dodo Airlines t-shirt, which she wears, and she keeps a log of like all the daily chores on the island, and our turnip prices and investments, and you know, and like it's the cutest fucking thing in the entire world. And like she screamed for me the other day, and I came running down to find out what it was. She caught a whale shark, and so yeah, so it's the best thing in the entire world. Let's see what else. Awesome. Household stuff. We got Matt a 3D printer for Father's Day.
Wow, so, that's amazing.
Yes.
Oh my God.
It's kind of like a prank gift because they're very hard to figure out. And so it's kind of like giving somebody a headache for a gift. But
what does he want to make?
Well, he wants to make like a lot of stuff, but like he wants to make the headbands, to make the PPE equipment for folks, and
very nice.
He made me a like organizer thing for my cricket machine. And he and Henry do I call it their nerd shit, but like in this house, that's like everyone has their nerd shit in this house, you know. But they paint the little Warhammer figures, you know.
Sure.
And so he wants to make some of those so that they can paint them like for specific characters. Henry's really into D&D too. Oh,
that's great. That's fun and a good imagination kind of thing to be into.
Oh, totally, yeah.
My friends who make, you know, Art Baltazar makes custom Migos.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I've entered his Migo community, and I love the people that have 3D printers and are sculpting heads.
Yeah, it's really neat.
You know, and like here's a Christopher Reeve Superman head, and here's a Buster Crabbe Flash Gordon head, and it's like, oh, that's amazing. And if I were into it, that's what I'd be doing, because that's incredible that they do.
Yeah, Matt's made some cool stuff, and then he's also made some like, you know, blobs of plastic.
Oh, of course. So. Well, you got to learn. That's all right. That's seriously, that's amazing. That's outstanding.
Do you script everything, or do you use the Marvel method?
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I mean, I kind of figured you script everything.
Oh, I'm sorry. No.
I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you answered the question.
I change up depending on who I'm writing for. So like I asked John Romita, do you prefer plot style or full script? And he was like, I prefer plot style. So I wrote for him plot style.
Okay.
Although my plot style is a more modified plot style than
I almost think it's the Marvel style is almost antiquated or generational because, yeah, I just think most people, and especially now people breaking in, are probably more full script than plot.
Yeah, but I think there's I will frequently, like on the most recent Aquaman script, there's it's done full script for most of it, but then there's 5 pages that I did plot style because I knew there was no way I was going to out design Miguel's eye. And so it was better for me. And we're doing the next arc of Bitch Planet plot style, and Emma and I have worked on Pretty Deadly in a modified plot style since the beginning. So when I say modified plot style, I write scene by scene. So it'll be like, and sometimes it's page by page. So like the Romita story, it was only a 12-page story. So I wrote prose and dialogue for every page. Now he said, when we work together in the future, which I was like, just like he was like, I love this, and which was also like made me so happy. I was so happy.
Yeah, I was expecting more correcting, but no, that's good.
No,
that's wonderful.
So he
Johnny's the man.
Like, yeah, so it was like totally want to do something again, and he said, he was like, this is how Miller writes for me, which also made me like, I know, I was like, I'm a grown up. And he said, but you don't have to do page breakdowns either. So just, and I didn't want to go back and say like, well, this is a 12-page story and I had to do page breakdowns or I would not have been certain that I had a story that could be contained in 12 pages.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he's like, oh no, I love this. Like, I was like,
that's
great,
awesome.
because it's a lot easier for me. So fantastic. But I tend to write, when I write plot style, it isn't plot style like when you go back and read Stan's scripts.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Scripts.
Yeah.
When I write plot style, it just means I'm not breaking down panels. So I will just write prose and dialogue.
I hear you.
And so, no, and he says, when you say scene by scene, do you mean panel by panel? No, I mean scene by scene. So I'll write
the page,
like, this scene is, you take, we have 4 pages for this scene, and this is the action, and this is the dialogue. That's what I mean.
I'm hip.
But I can write full script as well, and that is the industry standard these days. But I don't like it as much.
Interesting. And again, you want to give the artist room.
Yeah,
to tell there's the version of the story. So yeah.
Bendis and I differ wildly on this.
Interesting.
But also, he's an artist, right?
That's true. Yes.
And I am not. And I think. Unless I'm working with someone who's very new or very young, I think I'm never going to out-design their hand. And it's better for me to tell the story and kind of build it in their head and let them really have fun and have visual ownership of it.
That's cool.
So I know Brian feels like he isn't doing his job if he doesn't do breakdowns. But I feel often like I'm stepping on toes, and it would be stronger if I got out of the way,
I'm hip.
And when I also will tend to write at the top of the page on the beginning of a scene what that scene is about in a thematic sense. So here's what we're trying to accomplish with this scene. This is why this scene has to happen. And that is something I think is unique to me. I don't know of anybody else who does it. And I started doing it just for myself, but found it to be very helpful, both for editorial, heading off some notes, and also just, I think anything that you can do to help the artist understand where what your thinking is, and get you guys on the same page is really helpful.
That's excellent. Hey, that was great. And seriously, Henry, I appreciate you asking. And Kel, I'm glad you caught that, because I would have blown that question off. So that was excellent.
Yeah. I love to talk craft.
Yeah. Well, again, when, hopefully next time we'll have even more shit to talk about, as opposed to the crap. But we did good. We covered
it all. The highs and the lows. Yes.
Buddy, you're the best. Seriously. As I always say, I wish we all lived on the same street, although with social distancing.
I know. Yes.
But we got this. And hang out for a second as I wrap up, because I just wanted to float something by you, if that's cool. All right, great.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, friends.
Excellent. Kelly Sue DeConnick, thank you very much. And thank you all for watching. As always, wonderful hangout time. She exceeds expectations as far as where we go and what we talk about. Thank you all. Great conversation, great comments. As I always say to wrap things up, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy.